Many thanks, Ibrahim Danhabido, for that background report. And joining us now to discuss Nigeria's capacity in science and technology, we have with us Engineer Kashim Ali, the former President, Koren. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. We also have joining us in the studio Dr. Yetunde Aladeitan, lecturer, Department of Chemical Engineering, University of Abuja. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Good.
All right, so let's begin the conversation, even as we're expecting the Director General of the National Biotechnology Development Agency to join us in the course of the conversation. I'd like to just begin with Engineer Kashim Ali. The topic is Nigeria's capacity in science and technology. Let's begin with that word capacity, in the field of science and technology. Would you say that as it stands in this country today, Nigeria has the capacity to develop in that sector?
Well, my answer to it, simplicity would be yes. But most of our capacity is in incubation. Because in science and technology, there must always be an opportunity for you to express knowledge. Whatever knowledge that cannot be expressed is in incubation. And a lot of work is going on in our universities and other research centers. But until those things are put to use, you can't see their workability or otherwise. But in truth, if we will look at what has happened to our countrymen and women who have, in the course of their life journey, gone out of the country, you could see that they have been put into use in so many important science and technology institutions abroad. And I don't want to belabor it because you know all those things. I'm not going to talk about them on individual basis, but I'll give you just one example. There was a time some years back, many years back really, we had our conference. And one of the speakers was a Nigerian who was working in the US. I don't want to call it the Nigerian he was working with. And we said he should come and do a paper in his own country. They replied, asking us to give them his full itinerary before they will allow him to come. And the US Embassy in Nigeria was liaising with the NSC to confirm those itineraries, including visiting his village. It was added. I'm telling you, this was added for them to be sure that he will be safe even in his own village. That shows you how important he is. But in Nigeria, this guy was here before he left. Nobody valued him. So we do have, I can therefore use that as an example, that we do have, but largely in incubation, unfortunately.
Largely on incubation. So you would say that you don't have the necessary support from government, or would you say it's as a result of a lack of funds? Okay, let me throw that question to Dr. Yetunde. Would you say the problem of this incubation, is it as a result of lack of fund or government support?
I wouldn't say that in particular, because I know government is doing a lot when it comes to the tech space, science and tech space. For example, you have the roadmap of the National Science and Technology and Innovation, I think by the Ministry of Science and Technology. I think that was about 2017 under the leadership of, I think it was Dr. Ogbonnaya Onu. And so you also have NASENI, NCDMB. They're doing a lot in the science and tech space. But unfortunately, we say so many things, but the implementation is usually the challenge. Yes, funding, but I think, to me, I believe the government is really trying, when it comes to funding. But one thing again is we need to encourage our youths. Like I'm from the academia and I can't say anything without talking about education. STEM education is very key. Okay. I think from even the primary school, not necessarily the secondary school, you need to encourage these young ones to take up STEM courses. When you go abroad, most of the courses that provide scholarships are usually STEM courses. Sciences, engineering, tech, but in Nigeria we really don't have that. And so I think we need to improve on the collaborations, because collaboration is key. For example, for the triple helix model, where you have the collaboration between the industry, the academia, and also the government, where the collaboration helps to improve the R&D, that's the research and development in the universities, and the support from the government, the support from the industry would also help to upgrade many of these researchers, because we have so many of them lying down in the universities, and nothing is being done, and they're just gathering dust. So I think collaboration is key. We do have the capacity, but we need to also up our game when it comes to the science and tech space.
All right, talking about upping our game, Dr. Alade-Itan, you say government is doing enough. Then one will be quick to point at the research institutes that we have in this country. We have many institutes, focused at science and tech, and of course are supposed to come up with a lot of inventions and all of that. Would you say that they're getting the required attention? If you say they're getting the required attention, how come we're not getting to see inventions? We're not getting to see, a lot of improvement in our lives as a result of what these institutes are doing? Okay,
so yes, government is trying their best, but I think their best is not enough. Let me put it that way. Okay. And so basically, I think a lot of things that are supposed to support this science and technology innovations are lacking. For example, I remember, was it yesterday, I was trying to do a research online, but I wouldn't call the internet service provider. I wasn't able to access. They were having issues online. And then, for example, even in the universities, maybe the R&Ds and the institutes, you might want to actually carry out a research, but you don't have light. So you need resilient infrastructure to support the growth of science and technology in the country. If you don't have that, I mean, we're really wasting our time. We talk about security. Every day we hear of kidnappings, adoptions. It's not as if those abroad, those in the West and other countries, developed countries, they don't do all these things. But because if they do it, they'll be caught. And why would they be caught? Because they have the infrastructure in place, because you have the technology to trace. But when you see that we're not developing these technologies, that is when you start having problems with security, start having problems with lack of improvement in your science and technology. So that's basically the problem. We need to have resilient infrastructure to support the growth of science and technology as a nation.
We need to have the necessary infrastructure to support the growth of science and technology. Okay, let me go back to Engineer Kashim. We have heard stories of Nigerian inventors who have roamed the street in search of funding but got none, and they were later poached, by other countries. And their inventions, how can we realistically guard against these? What I mean is that what strategies can be implemented to attract and retain skilled professionals in the country?
Okay, I think over the years would try to put the blame on the government. Not that the government doesn't have the blame, they do have the blame. But again, society has to have a reorientation. Even not only individuals, institutions have brought about innovation that Nigerians have not accepted. University of Ife, many years ago, somebody developed the yam pounder in those days. Even the university did not invest in it, but it was okay, let's do it and begin to use it within the university. Nobody did it until somebody picked it from Japan and did it and brought it back to us to buy expensively. So we don't value what we have as a nation. You see, do you know that at one point in Nigeria, even the textiles, I was told, do you know they used to produce their textile material and ship them abroad for people to go and buy and come back to Nigeria? If you went to any of these, what you are buying was textiles from manufactured in Nigeria. Shoes were being made in Aba, shoes were being made in Maiduguri, but they were not buying them until somebody would take them to Chad. In Nigeria, would rather go to Benin Republic to buy something and say he imported it than to say. So we need a reorientation as citizens of our country. It's coming rather too slowly, and not in the tangible areas. For instance, today, because I'm saying this on a global basis, Even things like food. Do you know sometimes we're ashamed of the food we eat, even though the food is good? When did you start seeing amala in hotels, big hotels in Lagos? It's just recently. Even simple things like that. So the same thing, when we produce things or innovate, people don't seem to believe in it until somebody carries them abroad and brings back. Now, we need to find a solution to that. In the arts and the liberal arts and then music, we have succeeded largely because they refused to give up. They were playing their music, even though what there's no value from the composition, no value, but young people are dancing to them and paying money to watch shows, so they are making money and they are making progress. I've been thinking about, okay, is that something we can do also in science and tech? To maybe to go ahead, push on, just do things.
Keep pushing on.
Just keep going. Because the only problem we have is that, unlike that, where you can just carry microphone and sing and people will dash you money. In science and tech, you need to carry all your savings.
But you need the youth actually to get the backing. Just like Dr. Olade said, that the youths needs to be encouraged to take up, STEM courses, science, courses in schools, especially in primary and secondary school. But we'd like to take a pause now. We have a story that we need to take from Ibadan. It says, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde on Thursday announced the passage onto glory of the 42nd Olubadan of Ibadan land, His Imperial Majesty Oba Dr. Mohud Lekan Balogun Ali Moshood Lekan Balogun Ali Okunmade II. The governor made this announcement on Thursday night, explaining that Olubadan Balogun joined his ancestors late Thursday evening at the University College Hospital in Ibadan. In a statement by Special Advisor Media to Oyo State Governor Sulaiman Olanrewaju, Governor Makinde described Oba Dr. Balogun as an epitome of royal excellence and a great achiever who made great marks on Ibadan land in just a little over 2 years of his reign. He expressed his condolences to the Olubadan in Council, the Oyo State Traditional Council, and the people of Ibadan land, and Oyo State, praying to God to grant repose to the soul of the deceased monarch. Let's now join Kende Omolosho, who is at the Olubadan Palace, for a situation report. Hello, Kende. Can you give us the situation report at the palace of the Olubadan?
Good morning, Demola. Ibadan has been thrown into mourning following the demise of late Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Lekan Balogun Ali Okunmade, CFR, who joined his ancestors at 82. He was a wonderful traditional ruler who carried his people along. He took care of the people of Ibadan. Whereas, before his ascension to the throne, he was in the oil and gas sector. Later on, became senator representing Oyo Central between 1999 and year 2003. At the palace now, sympathizers are coming in to condole with the family of the late Olubadan of Ibadan land.
Okay, what is the situation in Ibadan generally now? What is the atmosphere like in the Ibadan city?
The atmosphere, the whole city is in a sober mood. Because on Monday, the Olubadan of Ibadan marked 2 years on ascending the throne. And Thursday, he passed on.
Many thanks, Kende, for that update. But have you been able to speak with, ranking chiefs, anyone, who holds some form of authority in the palace of the late Olubadan, to let us know exactly, what happened and then what's going to happen now that he has passed on?
Yonre, no high-ranking chief is available for now to talk to, but arrangement is being made for his burial.
they're likely to be? Today or when? We got a date that he's a Muslim, right?
Most likely is going to be today because he's a Muslim.
Thank you, Kende. We'll get back to you. You continue to give us up to speed with the development over there. Thank you very much, Kende.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right, so we come back to Engineer Kashim. I don't know if you are done with the thoughts you were giving us the other time.
No. Our condolences to Ibadan land.
Okay.
I had the privilege of visiting the palace some years back. And,
Okay. All right. Very soon, I would have seated with us the DG of NAPDA. But let me quickly get to Kashim now, Engineer Kashim Ali, so that we could, build up on what we already talked about as regards. You talked about the fact that Nigerians do not want to patronize or recognize Nigerian inventions and would prefer to, look abroad or look elsewhere, instead of looking at home. Would you say that is a problem of just Nigerians, or you would think that that's a perception that our leaders, have given us, and maybe that's why Nigerians are taking a cue from that? I say that because, I asked about our research institutes earlier, and talking about if they are getting the adequate attention, to go about inventing, things. Give an example. Say, even the cars that are being packaged in the country, although the whole invention is not happening here, just being assembled here, we find out that a lot of Nigerians who can afford cars would not want to use it. Our leaders are also not showing a good example of saying, okay, if, for example, I have a senator from my state who drives a car assembled in this country, of course, other people will want to take a cue. So where exactly is that problem coming from? Because if you invest in the Nigerian people and you ensure that whatever inventions come out are used by even these leaders that we look up to, don't you think that perception will change?
No, it will change. Well, I think this is happening is our own way of growing. Even children grow differently. Some children grow being rascally and become calm after some years. Some start being shy and become very highly opinionated and expressive. So it's our own form of growing. Every nation has its own way of doing its thing. Even the people that are doing well now, like the Asians, they had their own peculiar way. The only thing is that theirs was a national movement. For instance, if you take the case of one of the biggest Asian countries, it is a national movement, deliberate national movement. To say, okay, we are going to do this. Shut the gate. Anything we cannot create, we don't need. Then they started. And when they started it, they went abroad, picked everything they could pick with force of the state. If they saw a car that will appeal to their people, they will buy 2, even 3, and bring. Machine, they will buy a number and bring to the country. And in us, they will pieces one and be looking at the one standing to reassemble. They did that over and over and over, not once, not twice. Before that, they also send people abroad to go and study anything you want to do. Get PhD. If you like, do double PhD and come back. But just go and get education. They sponsored. Asia did it. In fact, I sat on a panel many years ago, and where UNESCO panel, and I was in contact with Malaysia, especially. I had meeting even the president of Malaysia then and the prime minister. I met them, and I saw how they are driving their processes. It was direct. The prime minister sits down at the table to direct some of this on science and tech for them to drive, because number one, it's expensive and you need quick action. Because in science and tech, if you have a product now and you open it up, by the time you get out of this room, it has become obsolete. Because somebody picks it and improves on it. So you have to be also up and doing. You have to have the facility for upgrading on a continuous basis. That requires quick action, which individuals cannot take. Because if I'm an investor, I'm looking for profit. So I can't be carrying my money to invest in things that will not bring me money. So people don't invest heavily in science and tech. Look at, and I like to use the example.
Okay.
Even in photography, even in your cameras, you see a lot of things have changed. Your camera that when you bought, maybe before they will ship them, they will become obsolete. You hear of another more advanced one. When we were young, we had Kodak, Agfa. They're the ones that were producing film that today they are out of business. You know why?
With your phones.
Phones came, other cameras came that didn't need elaborate effort to print pictures. And people are not, even after some time, you see that. So they went out of there because they could not invest at that rate. But because they come from a developed country. Nobody cared. But in our own society, we care for such things. So if somebody has started a project in Nigeria, you have to help them. Government has to use government resources to help them. If I don't say anything wrong, for instance, for government to go to Innocent and say, look, we're taking a percentage of your, we're putting investment in your company, we're going to run in with you to enable it grow. It may not become, you have all the majority share, but government will be there. The reason government will be there is to protect national interest, to be sure that you do the right things, you don't cut corners to endanger people's life. This is how it is done. We must look. Lagos is doing well. If you know Lagos, I remember when we were here, Lagos, we used to look down on Lagos because Lagos was dirty, everything was not working. What they did was to set structures. Have you had any governor of Lagos State, any governor of Lagos being accused of killing people or going after political opponents? Because you have too much work to do to think about those things. You are creating institutions that will make the city of Lagos work. And because people see that you are working, they are paying their taxes. That's how a nation works. But when you see that people are not paying taxes or people are not valuing government property, it's because government is not working. So we must go, and in science and tech, there's no way individual can fund it. No way. Check the history of science and technology development. There is only state that can fund such investment.
So that means you do not agree with what
no,
Dr. Yetunde.
The initial work will be done by the citizens. Like the ideas have to blossom out of the citizens. But after that has come out, and you have set up a committee to say, is this idea worth the while? Once you agree that it is worth the while, the government is supposed to be an off-taker.
Okay, to support.
Until the government becomes an off-taker of innovation, it won't work. Look, you showed something on the screen. I had the privilege of being a chairman of a scientific development institute at a point. We developed helmets. You think it's a simple thing, but they had helmets, beautiful helmets that you're like the type you see in American films, and then wanted to make it ballistic. But when we went to the chief of defense staff, I said, look, we want to do this. We have the capacity to make this ballistic, so that you don't need to import again. And he was so kind to say, oh, beautiful. Let's have a meeting. We had a meeting with the sensitive organs of the military, and then they said they're going to even test what we had. And then we can get back and see whether we can progress from there. We did that. I don't know what is happening again. Many things have been done like that, along that line. And I want people to see this from the, in terms of, we need all of us as citizens to move this country. When we say government, when I'm saying government, I'm not talking about federal government or anybody. Government is at various levels. Even in institutions, we have governance. In NTA, you have governance. There are certain things that are responsibility of the directors, the one that is responsible of the DGs. People must do their work. We must all clean our corners. That is the only way our nation will grow. But if we continue to trade blame, we will not have any success out of it.
All right.
And if we don't invest in science and technology, our country will become obsolete.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Engineer Kashim Ali, for your thoughts there. You have raised serious issues on the need for, changing the orientation, the mindset of Nigerians, getting the buy-in of government, the support of government, and also developing infrastructure that is needed, to boost science and technology in the country. While the discussion was on, the Director General, National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA, came into the studio. Professor Abdullahi Mustafa, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do understand that you'll be following the discussion, and certainly it centers on the need for government support, infrastructure, and change of mindset. What do you think it's actually responsible for this layback in the development of science and technology in the country presently?
Well, thank you very much, and good morning, Nigeria. You see, to be honest with you, I will not call it a layback. I have heard the past speaker when he said that in every country there are stages of development and peculiar to that particular country. And Nigeria is not an exception. Each country has its own peculiarity. Go to India, and up to now you see that they are still struggling with some few things. Go to China, they are still struggling with some few things. We are developing at our own pace. The only thing we need
But our pace is rather slow compared to other climes. I saw some, sorry to cut you, sir. I saw some display on social media, and where those countries have gone, we have not even like touched anything near it at all.
Well, to be honest with you, they will tell you the beauty side of their country.
Okay.
They don't tell you the other side. We are doing well in terms of my own understanding.
Okay.
The only thing is perhaps probably, as he said, government commitment in terms of engaging the product that has been developed in the country. We are growing slowly, yes. That is how we are supposed to grow, because we can't grow just at once. You know, the revolution, industrial revolution happened before they were using humankind to develop their countries, because there were no machines, and the machine come and take over. And now we are at a stage where in this country, similar to what is obtained in China and India, we have a lot of humankind and then skills workers, and then we have a lot of population where we consume what we produce. So in terms of government intervention is perhaps probably to just do as what the previous government did, closure of border, to say that we put restriction on so and so. Yes, we have people like these, some vehicles, and we say we are going to patronize. I knew some cars in Malaysia. Malaysia block everywhere that you can only use their car. We start from somewhere, no matter what, even if it is not strong enough, we now take a measure saying that, okay, no more importation of any car. From now on, we use Innoson. We produce whatever we produce in this country, and then we say no more importation. And then these companies are going to now be refining and refining until they get to that level. If you compare in each and every country their production, the quality differs depending on their precision. And precision comes with research, upgrade. And we have quite a lot of research output that government can collaborate with the private sector and invest more in it. And that is what is needed to be emphasized. Government to collaborate. Government need not to put, I'm not in the opinion that government puts its money in the industry, but help at the background, facilitate, scrap some the taxes and what have you, so that to help and encourage. All these private companies can do well in terms of moving all these products that we have. If you go to the Science Expo, you see quite a lot of product which are very, very essential in terms of our level of development. And remember, not only in Nigeria, if we produce this kind of commodity, all the West African countries are going to benefit, because we have market. And even if we say, okay, we keep the West African community aside, we close our border, say that no more importation of this, no more importation of that, and then you will see quite a lot of people going back into industrial production. Because that is exactly what happened when we say no more importation of toothpick. You see a lot of people bringing their machines, providing this toothpick in the country, and then we have gone far. And no more importation of rice. You see a lot of rice mill, a lot of people going back to the farm to produce rice. So if we do that, we now take one step at a time, because At times, our problem is that we take almost everything at one go. We say we want to do this, 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 this. We have to re-strategize.
Okay.
We know our capacity. We know what we can do. We know what we can do better. So when we start with all those ones, because of our organizational structure, we have to now start putting things one after another. Not everything at a time. Because when you chew too much, you cannot get what you want. All those countries that develop, they start from one point to another. And they don't develop at one go. We are at a situation where we have global networking, but we should look inward. Whatever work in other country may not necessarily work in here. So we take our basic needs, those that we produce here in the country, and then we invest in it. Government encourage some people. I think during Shagari time, there were such kind of things that had happened. Some people were selected. At that time, they were encouraged to have loan, and you see many of the industries coming up. So when you have the industry, that is the driving factor for those that are producing because there is going to be demand. There is going to be demand in the laboratory, in the workshop, in technical environment, so that they can produce for those companies, which means already there is need for those things.
Okay.
But in a situation where you allow the inflow, even if you have the industry, you allow the inflow of all those sophisticated items, machines, and whatever, to be brought from another country. I mean, you have lose everything.
Great point,
And that
Professor
science and
Mustafa.
technology is not going to definitely develop.
All right, talking about development and science and technology, let's talk about your organization now specifically, the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA.
The Research and Development
Research
Agency.
and Development Agency. Beautiful. I'm glad that you added that. So could you please tell me some of the breakthroughs of NABDA? I want to know how functional NABDA is, and tell us some of the breakthroughs that NABDA has come up with that has improved the lives of Nigerians.
Well, definitely we have come a long way. We have done so much. You see, this government is focused on in terms of food security, and we have done quite a lot in that area. We have developed this BT cowpea, and that's what I told people in my interview, that you no longer hear that we are now having a deficit of beans in the country. Previously, I mean, some years, 5-6 years, even Ghanaian president made a pronouncement that they are no longer going to sell beans for Nigerians. Why? Because they are in need of it. But now is no more. Before, we were importing beans from Chad Republic, Niger Republic, and some other countries, as I mentioned, Ghana. But now they are coming to Nigeria to buy beans. Why? Because we have produced BT cowpea, and this BT cowpea is resistant to Maruca vitrata, which is an insect that eats the pod, to not allow it to have a high yield. So we have high yield, high quality, and then it produces in a very shorter time compared to the other conventional crop. That is one. Another thing is in the area of cotton. We have facilitated the domestication of cotton, where now, as I'm telling you, a lot of people have gone back to the farm to produce cotton. And this cotton will earn us a lot of foreign exchange and will bring back, this what we are saying, bring back companies that are in cotton and textile industry. And that is what we have done. Again, recently, in collaboration with AATF, IAR, and some other organization, we produced telomeres. Now people are anxiously waiting. You are here, you hosted Poultry Farmers Association, and this Poultry Farmers Association came, they were saying that we have deficit, we cannot, that is why we have a very expensive egg, very expensive chicken, because maize, which is the foundation of all the feed that they produce, is no longer available. We have to import it from another country. But now telomeres is released as a result of research, and the research collaboration we have with other institutions, and then it is now available in Nigeria, and a lot of farmers are coming to say they want it. Another thing in the area of health, now, you know, COVID has taught us a lot of lessons. The lesson that that COVID taught us is that we have to survive even if we are in enclosure. That is, we are just as during the COVID that all borders are closed. In terms of medical supply, in terms of medical equipment, that is what we concentrated on. And luckily, because of this research, before we don't have the technology, we always buy. Now we have produced test kit for COVID. Why we say test kit for COVID? That was when the research started, and then we have optimized it. Now we have it. But the technology is there. We are now in the laboratory working to produce other test kits, and that will bring the development of more industries that will come up to provide job, to provide quality material that we need in our hospitals. That is another area. Another area that we have done so far is the biodigester. The biodigester, with this time of epileptic power supply, it is going to be very useful in the rural community, and this rural community can take the biodigester. It's very easy to handle, very simple, and then anybody can be taught within shortest possible time, can master how to use it. Just to introduce the organic material, waste material, and then you manage it. It will provide cooking gas for you, it will provide electricity, it will provide the energy that you use either in your farm or in your village or whatever. So that is another thing. That biodigesters can be now massively produced, and that can be used in our local community. And the residue, that is the byproduct of that organic material, can be used as organic fertilizer. We have produced organic fertilizer, we have produced
all right, great, Professor Mustafa. Right. If we give you all the time, of course, you want to go on and tell me what NAFDA has been doing and is still doing. Great inventions there, if you like, greater innovations, coming from NAFDA. But my question to you now will be, why the kind of success that NAFDA can boast of, why can't we see that being replicated in other research institutions that we have in this country? What would you say is the problem? Because like Engineer Kashim already mentioned, human resources is not a problem. We have people in Nigeria who are capable of, doing the needful. Dr. Ale Dayton talked about the fact that, the environment, the right environment, having power, having the necessary infrastructure for, these inventions, to come to life is also a challenge. In your own view, what really is our challenge in the space of science and tech that is still seeing us, being backward in that regard?
I would say it's only commitment. It's just commitment. If you are committed
on the part of government, commitment on the part of government,
in the part of those that are working in the laboratory. I'll tell you, because now, if you have a problem, as a scientist, you're supposed to think and improvise. And if you cannot improvise, you have partners that those people have this equipment. Those people can now help you with that part of research. So that commitment is what is needed, and thinking outside the box. If, for example, we did not collaborate with other institutions within and outside the country, all this success cannot be achieved. So if at all, no matter how small money you have, government need to see what you can now provide on the table. As I'm telling you now, the Honorable Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology has taken this cause of NAFDA very seriously, and he's meeting with Mr. President to say that this agency need more support because this is what they can produce. A, B, C, D, just as I've listed. And everybody is impressed with what we have done. So if you can do more, then there is going to be quite a lot of support that will come your way, not only within the country but outside the country. And as I'm telling you now, I think if we can collaborate, there should be an avenue where researchers should now think out of the box, relate very well, have research grant proposal right to anywhere, and then win a research grant. We have some research grant that we won, as the people outside the country have seen our commitment. So when you look at it this way, I think it is in the part of the researchers to think out of the box. I knew a lot of institutions that are doing very well in terms of research activity. And this is what we need in the country. We should not always fold our arms and say that we need money, money, money. No, money is not the problem. No matter how much you are given, you as a human, you're supposed to think out of the box, and you're supposed to put something on the table so that people will have confidence in you and give you more. All these companies that we are saying, all these international companies, that when you see them maybe investing in research and development in their country, is because they have a history of what has happened before, and they know these people can do it. But no company will come and invest in your own research group if there is no history of you being a researcher and you have done A, B, C, D to showcase this is your capability.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Mustafa. Let's just cut it short there so that we can bring in other discussants here. He has talked about, he has reeled out the achievement of his agencies, and particularly he spoke about the need for commitment on the part of the researchers, and also that government support is there, and we heard recently that government has rolled out a lot of policy, to really assist in the development of science and technology in the country. Earlier on, you talked about the challenge of infrastructure inhibiting the progress of the sector. Now, how do we surmount this major challenge of infrastructure, just like it's done in other climes? And also, how do we begin to get the commitment, of the people in the science and technology so that we can get the needed result that is desired in the industry?
Okay, let me start by answering your second question, getting the commitment. Now, quality assurance is very key. The DG mentioned something. He talked about improving, I think, the seedling or something of the beans, and at the end of the day, they stopped importation, because if Ghana knows that, look, the quality of beans produced in Nigeria is better than that of Ghana, there's no need to export from Ghana, because Nigerians won't buy. So it's not, because I remember when Engineer Kashim Ali was talking about the environment, and people not wanting to, the mindset of Nigerians not wanting to consume locally made products. I really would not blame them. I wouldn't blame them, because at times you can buy a made in Nigeria shoe, and it's ideally supposed to last for 5 years. At the end of the day, you're just wearing it for 6 months and it goes, it goes off. So I would rather buy that is imported, because I know that the quality, I'm sure of the quality. So if we can have good quality assurance and make sure that whatever is produced in Nigeria has, it's at par with what is produced from abroad, I think that Nigerians will rather consume that. And also, if the government is able to provide a conducive environment, I believe that, this many of the startups are going to progress. And they won't just produce. It's not just about you producing anything, but also making sure that whatever you're producing is of good quality and can actually stand the competition of what is coming from outside. Because whether you like it or, look at me, I'm wearing Ankara now. Back in the days, I remember most of the things that we used to wear as women were imported. But now, I think we've been able to embrace our culture, embrace, the textiles that are actually made in Nigeria. If it's not of good quality, and I know that I buy this Ankara, I wash it for the first time, and then the color goes off, I won't buy it again. So I think we need to ensure quality so that our people can actually harness all the products that are actually being made, in Nigeria. And also the government needs to, and like Deval said, encourage all these little startups. Yes, the DG talked about, when we talked about R&D, because I always talk about R&D since I'm in the academia, if you have the idea and all that, like I said, many of them stop at the lab level. We should be able to upgrade to a pilot plant and then full implementation. So if you don't have resilient infrastructure, if you don't have electricity, there's going to be a problem. And I think for this electricity thing, is beyond us as, beyond the people that are actually involved in this startup. I think the government has a better role to play when you bring about policies, and also we need to harness the power of emerging technologies. We have the artificial intelligence, we have the blockchain technology, we have the data analysis. If we're able to harness it, we should be able to protect our infrastructure, because I think recently, one of the service providers talked about people vandalizing at their mast and all that. So that's why we had a problem nationwide. So if there's enough security and you're able to protect this infrastructure, I think things will be better. And it can never be overstated, you know. The infrastructure part can never be overstated, because whatever we do, if we don't have the support of proper infrastructure, nothing can.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ali Alade-Itan. We'll take a break now. When we come back, the conversation continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the NTA, and topic of this for discussion today is Nigeria's capacity in science and technology. Our guests are still very much with us, and I'm going to Engineer Kashim Ali now. And the reason I'm coming to you is because you know, the DG made some comments talking about the fact that the major issue, you know, in advancing science and tech in the country is the lack of commitment on the part of researchers. He talked about the fact that, well, you know, if some things are not available, then you should be able to improvise. You should be able to find other ways and other means to get whatever it is that you need to get done, you know, to move your invention forward. What's your take on that?
I don't believe improvisation is a sustainable solution to any problem. If you really want to do something, set out to do them and do them. Let there be opportunities for measurement, and we can hold you responsible at every level. But if you now have to do improvisation, it means things are not in order. So I don't want to agree with that, but also I don't want to agree that there is no sufficient commitment of researchers. Many of them have been frustrated out. I have had the privilege of interacting with all researchers in Nigeria in engineering, and I've heard these things are documented of the problems they have, and these are not the problems they have. Even when we talk about funding in Nigeria, whenever institutions have money and they're in control of money, they become lords. That is the problem we have in Nigeria. If you give an institution money, dispense money to even the NUC, well, because NUC is responsible for distributing money to universities, see how the executive secretary of NUC is, you see VCs who are even older than he will be whatever, doing everything to get money. And all the Nigeria system is, even a messenger in Nigeria, if you give them power, you say the messenger is in charge of control who comes in. If I is your VIP guest, you throw away. Because the one who not.
So now you have come back to commitment there. This is commitment. That is what I'm talking about.
This is the commitment of researchers is different from what I'm talking. I'm talking about there are differences along the path. Somebody is responsible for doing research. He has a requirement. When you give him the requirement and he does not deliver, you hold him accountable. But when you don't give him what he requires and you expect improvisation as a solution, I say it's not a sustainable solution to the problem. And that's not what is done internationally. And like I said, I'm saying this not as a guesswork, but as a result of over the interaction both locally and internationally. I had the privilege of being president of NSC, and there's what we call CODET, Committee of Deans of Engineering and Technology. We sat down with them because we needed to raise the standard of engineering in Nigeria at a point, because we were doing input-based engineering education. It became obsolete at a time. We are now in OBE, outcome-based engineering education internationally. If you are not doing that, you are not a part of anybody. So we're trying to drive Nigeria to that point. And we did it. But we saw those challenges and we knew the interventions we had to do. Before then, we had also, NSC, we went around the faculties of engineering in Nigeria to look at their laboratories and workshops, and they were in deficit. We had to engage the president, then President Yar'Adua, God bless his soul. He agreed that they will start first with 6 universities to serve as centers of excellence. We also got commitment of NASENI because they have centers of excellence in some of these places to also help the university so that they can still work. The work on that is going on. So this has not to do with the individuals.
Talking about, I'm glad that you mentioned the universities. I'm glad you would react. You will react.
No,
but you would react. Hold on, Professor Mustafa. You would definitely ask the question. But I want to find out, you talked about universities. How far have they gone? Because, you know, Dr. Alade was talking about getting young people involved in STEM and all of that. But the question is, even when you get into a university to study engineering or whatever course that is science and tech related, having the right equipment in schools to lecture these children effectively just so they can come out and be able to deliver, it's not there. Most of the things you're taught is theoretical. You just read on the paper that this is how this works, this is how this is done, and then you come out. I mean, any Nigerian, if you see pictures of a Nigerian who has invented whatever, it's just native intelligence, not because, you know, a school taught you that this is a motor or this is an engine or this is I don't know.
No, there has been improvement. You may recall, you can check your archives. 2008, 2009, no, sorry, 2013, between 2013 and 2019, I had course to, we had to course to go to University of Abuja. I use it as an example. And we found that they were at the stage you are talking about. And we requested that they should close down the Faculty of Engineering. And we did it. They moved their students to other universities. Recently, the university started, I think the new VC is also was trying something like that, and they had to be warned that there could be a repeat of what happened that time. And it will be repeated. We have left that stage. No university now that produces engineers will not be up to date.
Okay.
Because we have opened our gates to the international community. Everything we do is on the web, and anybody around can see. Because we're a member of an elite organization, they call it Washington Accord, that you don't close your doors. Everything you do, they have focus on it. In fact, they even identify the universities and the individual. We have an accreditation process that we have done for those who are even qualified to go and assess other people. And you can, like she was invited recently, and you could see someone like her being invited to go to a US university to go and assess students. Because we are in that group now, or you could go to UK or could go to Malaysia, and we have at that level. So there are some those students the universities that have that at that level you are saying no longer produce students, because if you have to migrate your students to another university. If not, they will graduate with the degree of your university, but will not qualify to practice in Nigeria.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Engineer Salem there. But let me come back to Professor Mustafa. I know you're itching to react to all the issues that have been raised by the engineer and Dr. Alade. So let's get a reaction now.
Well, to be honest, let me just ask him first. When you engaged President Adwa, did he really implement your mission on stocking all the 6 universities you've selected?
He did. The contract was awarded.
Okay. If the contract was awarded, the equipment supply, can you tell me whether there is any output from that equipment? What I'm going to tell you, all my life I've spent it in university. I've started from graduate assistant until I rose to professor. I have been engaged fully, and then I'm a researcher. I carried out my research outside the country in UK. So I know all these things. It's not that somebody is telling me. You see, when you go to our universities, why I say this, there are universities that when you go, there are equipment they were bought new. And up till now, they have not mounted those equipment. Is that not lack of commitment? Go back. TEDFund, I know TEDFund supported so many universities with state-of-the-art equipment. But unfortunately, if you go there, they are just there.
Why?
Commitment. Because if you are buying,
is it
you are buying
or
it,
the capacity?
you are buying it. You are the one, excuse me, you are the one who said you want A, B, C, D as a researcher.
Yeah.
And it was brought to you because TEDFund will collect from the university. And then these requests start from the department to the faculty, then to the whole university. So when they collect it and then they submit, this equipment will be purchased and then they will be there. Is it not lack of commitment? And then let me give you another thing, is the researches that we are conducting, we're supposed to use this equipment to conduct researches. The improvisation. Even in the UK, US, they improvise. Because if you don't have, what I mean by improvisation is that, for example, you have A, B, C equipment, you need D. Or you have A, C, and D, you need B. You have to use, because you are expected to be somebody who knows exactly what you want to do. And that component that is not there, you can take, maybe you go to local mechanic, local engineer, and what have you, tell him this is the component that is missing. I need this component, this is how it is, this, because you are expected to know exactly this is the equipment that you want to do, and you know that component, what is going to be, what is going to use for that. I'm not saying all the equipment, but I'm saying there are some specific equipment that need improvisation. I'm not saying that you have to have 100% equipment before you start using them.
All right, beautiful. No. Professor Mustafa, so since you're pointing fingers at, maybe universities and...
I'm not pointing finger at anybody.
Well, anyways, on the fact that, commitment on the part of researchers...
Even research institutions.
Good. Now, we've been having science and tech expos for quite a while in this country. Could you tell me the output, how it has bettered our lives as Nigerians, from all these science and tech expos organized, almost every year, and so much money is budgeted for them, and then we get to see pictures of, oh, this was invented. But I mean, how many of them actually come out and we are using in our daily lives?
I've told you of my own, because that is what I see.
Away from NAFDA now.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not the one that, because there are different people. Perhaps probably they will be the one to tell you, because I know when you interview one after another, all of them, they will tell you. I have been opportune to see the Energy Commission collaborating with somebody from Kogi, where he brought solar electrical cars, this renewable energy, and then they are really functional. So if you see, and the motorbike and what have you, they are there. There are solar panels that have been developed by Naseni. There are some local machines for this oil to be macerated, and then you have the oil from granola and what have you. There are machines that are used locally, and these contribute generally to the GDP. It's not that you have to have a sophisticated, mighty machine. No, there are so many things that are there, but it's only when you talk with the people, they will tell you the extent that they have gone. This expo has exposed us a lot that we get people from outside the country to come and see us. While I was in my stand, there are people that came from Germany. I saw them, they came to me. There are people that came from US and one from UK. They came to me and they came to my stand, and just for collaboration. And that is what I'm telling you, that we are progressing. But if you say we have to see the indices, you see, at times I do tell, I'm not depending government, but this is my perception. At times I do tell people that we have to patronize our own product. I stand to differ with the doctor from Abuja. She said, when you buy a made in Nigeria good, it will last for maybe 6 months. Well, that is a starting point. When you encourage the person knows that there is a competition. This one is doing the same slippers, this one is doing the same slippers, and then you have many that are rising up. Definitely the quality will improve, but not at the beginning. You need some subsidy. I knew some people in Kano that are doing these handmade shoes. They were copying Batuzi, and now, before the quality was poor, but now if you take Batuzi and you take their shoes, you will see that there is no difference. And the quality, they will last you years, just as Batuzi will last you years. This is just to tell you that you have to start from somewhere, then to reach where you are going to go. We should not condemn what we are doing in the country. Okay. We should always encourage people to do more. We should always try to tell people that there is always hope in the country, and there is always market. We have more than 200 million people, and this product, whenever it is, no matter how it is, they started. Is it not a shame that we go to China, we import low quality material, and we bring it to the country, and it will not last you 6 months? I got so many things here in the country that are made from outside the country, and the same low quality. So when you look at it, it's not
But
a
Prof,
peculiarity
sorry
of
to
Nigeria.
interject you for that the low quality product that are being brought from China to Nigeria is as a result of our people going to China and telling them the quality of the product that they want. Because I was at a forum where, you know, the Chinese people were accused of bringing low or substandard product into the country. And they responded and they said, no, it's your people that will come and give us the specification of what they want. So we produce tailored to the customer's needs. So it's still our problem.
That is it. So
It's
lack
still
of patriotism
our problem.
and commitment. You understand? So when you have patriotism and commitment, you can achieve. We cannot just wake up and see Nigeria has transformed to China, UK or US. We have to start from somewhere, and we have to check patriotism in our own self and make sure whatever is being produced in Nigeria, we patronize it gradually. I tell you, go and check the Innocent of 5 years ago and Innocent of nowadays.
There's a lot
of
of
quality. There is a lot of improvement. Why? I cherish that man because he keep on persisting. You understand? If it was somebody that is just okay, I'm no longer going to continue, but he persists, he continued, and then he's improving day in, day out. That is what we need for people to patronize him. If I were the government, I would tell Nigerians that nobody, if he has the capacity to produce, nobody import car. We use cars. And then when you start that, you will see probably Dangote is going to start, probably another person will start. Then you see we are manufacturing
That is
cars.
what we are calling government support.
Well,
He talked about
well,
it.
I mentioned it. I mentioned that,
inject.
but what you are saying is that we don't have to start from somewhere. We have to start from somewhere, no matter how the quality is. And then the research, we have to improvise. If there is, we can't say we have complete 100% research equipment. If you go to Europe, they have a community that even if you don't have something here in UK, you go to Germany and you have it, and then you use that equipment. If it's not there in Germany, you go to France, you use that equipment. It's not that they have everything.
Okay, Prof.
Everything in their country.
Okay, Prof. I want to bring in Dr. Alade Itona because I want her to react to some of the issues that you raised, especially concerning the university, you know, getting all this equipment and the equipment are lying fallow without any commitment, you know, from the university to make use of them. And also the issue of assessing fund, like from TED Fund and all that. Well, let's get your reaction.
Okay, like you said, it's not in all cases. It's not even in most cases. A lot of cases you have high-tech equipment, but you don't even have people to operate them.
That's they
don't
have the
know.
capacity.
So you don't have the capacity. For example, the technologies don't even know how to operate them. So they will definitely lie fallow. And so normally you bring, okay, I remember recently we had some equipment that were supplied to us at University of Abuja. They had to bring people, I think, from China to teach the technology. They had some, I think it was about a week or more long training. They train the technologies on how to use those equipment. And so when you have a situation whereby you have state-of-the-art equipment and then you don't even have people to teach the technologies how to use it.
And maintain them.
Thank you. Maintenance. And yes, fantastic. Thank you so much. You know, you don't have people to teach them how to use it. And at times, even when we use it, you know, it gets spoiled. You are not able to maintain it. So those are the challenges that you have. So it's not like, of course, when we have equipment, we want to use it. We want to develop ourselves. We want to write cutting-edge papers. But when you don't have all these things working, I mean, how do you do it?
What about the issue of
funding? Yes.
Getting access to fund through TED Fund and all that. How easy is it?
I won't say it's very easy. Like he said, it's quite competitive. But I think we should ease the process. You know, make it more accessible, make more funding available, not just for the lecturers, also for the students that have something that is, you know, cutting edge. For example, we talked about biodigester. That is production of biogas, you know, methane, where you can use it to cook and all that. We have students that have developed all these things. But like I said, many of them are just lying fallow at the lab level. We have not been able to upgrade them to a pilot plant and actually do the proper, implementation. So those are the challenges that we face.
Because of time, Engineer Kashim Ali, I'd like to hear your recommendations now going forward, because like you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, our science and tech space is still at the incubation level, and that's the major challenge. How do we scale up? How do we leave that incubation level and get to the point where we're beginning to use our inventions, and not just use it, not on a low scale? Because one of the things that have been mentioned, I mean, you just find them maybe in one community or in one place, and that's all. Like, it's not going across the country. A lot of people don't have access to it. How do we get to that level away from incubation stage?
Thank you very much. But before then, let me just react to what you see. You see, when something is an exception, we should not use it for, global judgment. For instance, why will you buy an equipment for a university and they don't know what the equipment is? You see, why would you buy it before? It's like putting the cart before the horse. We buy aircrafts in Nigeria. Before you bring an Air Force brings a plane, they would have sent officers to go there and train. So that the day it lands in Nigeria, it's put to use. So we need that military discipline also in the civil sector. Having said that, I would say, look, the problem is, I told you that the issue of science and tech is a bit tricky. It's anything that has to do with the mind. For instance, if you think about a solution to something right now, even you, before you get to the door, you could have multiple options. Your mind starts running. You now have, no, I will do it better this way. In your mind. That is how it is. That's why I say, the cliche used to be, if you buy a laptop, for instance, the day as you pick it up from the shop, before you get out of the shop,
there's a new model.
There's a new model. That is how it is. And I'm saying it's impossible for any investor to begin to use his money to do those kind of things. So what they do, standard procedure in all the world, is for government to take interest. Or if they can either do direct investment or get off-takers that are supported either with tax waivers and all sorts of things. That's what is done. So Innocent is producing. When I say one can take shares, I'm not talking about substantial shares. It could be 5%. But if they feel that the organization structure, governance is okay, they could even leave it, but still stay behind them. But using the force that that government has to compel all institutions of government to buy from them as a way of patronage. Nigeria, we did that at a point, at the beginning. If you know the bosses that I recall one time we had bosses when there was one of these independent program, Jonathan, when they say we have to park our car at the Eagle Square. The bosses, they were all Innocent bosses.
Okay.
And Innocent, in fairness, also when they produce their first, they sent it to NSC for assessment and comments.
Beautiful, thank you, Engineer.
If government can support institution, not, I use that as a case study now.
Also in terms of patronage.
Everywhere. Areas of science and tech where there's high turnover, government should show specific direct interest.
How do we support you? Okay, let's pause you there, sir. Let's just have a parting shot from Professor Mustapha.
Okay, I think I've had the discussion, but what I would say is that as Nigeria it is, TED Fund, there is funding for university, that is primarily for university. We have other research institutions that needed to be funded, although I know there is this 0.5% if it can be implemented with the GDP, if it can be implemented, which means more funding for research institution and including universities. If we have that, I think there will be more and more collaboration between universities, research and institutions, and even foreign institutions. When we have that, because we have to globalize the knowledge, when we have that, those people that have expertise elsewhere will bring your own, and then
you collaborate. Thank you so much.
And that is the way forward.
Thank you,
we have started,
Professor.
and I am optimistic Nigeria is going to go there.
In 10 seconds, Dr. Oladetan, your last words.
Okay, thank you. I think also we shouldn't ignore the area of human capital development, training our young ones, the young engineers, the young scientists. For example, currently NSC is in collaboration with NCDMB on how to train about 6,000 engineers across the country.
All right, thank you so much. Training and retraining, key to moving the sector forward. Thank you so much, Professor Abdullahi Mustafa, Director General, National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA. Thank you for joining us for the conversation. Of course, Engineer Kashim Ali, always a pleasure to have you, former President of Corin, and Dr. Yetunde Aladeton, Lecturer at Department of Chemical Engineering, University of Abuja. Good to have you join us for the conversation. So that's Good Morning Nigeria this Friday. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anyway John. Have a great weekend.
And I am Ademola Adire. Thanks for your time, and join us again on Monday. Enjoy your weekend.